Welcome to today's surgery session. As I say, we are talking all about how to get clients testimonial videos. They are really obviously a critical part of the sales process. So, you know, obviously I've done a few of these sessions now. We've looked at building landing page videos, email sequences with videos in them throughout the sales process, booking page videos, pipeline follow-up clips, all of that sort of stuff. And ultimately, all the videos in those different parts of the process, they are all designed to build trust fundamentally and obviously get people to act in one way or another. But the thing is, we have yet to touch on the most powerful trust building video that you can create, or actually, you don't create it, someone else creates it, and then you put it on a page or you use it within your sales sequence. And that, of course, no prizes for guessing, that is obviously the client testimonial. Super, super important. So that's what we're looking at today. How do you get people to do them? What questions do you ask them so that we get sort of testimonial videos that are really going to move the needle for people watching them? That's the thing. It's not just about almost the ones where people are just like, yeah, it was great. I bought this product. It was delivered really quickly. Or, yeah, the service was fantastic and Jeff was really friendly. It's not really going to move the needle. What you want to be doing is talking about the before and the after. So before they got involved with you, with your service, with your product, what was their life like before that? Now that sounds like a massive kind of 2 hour kind of video. It's not. Testimonial videos really need to be, yeah, I would say probably 90 seconds, maybe a couple of minutes if people have got lots to say. But the key thing is the structure of them, and making sure that we telling a story in a particular structure. So we're painting a really vivid picture of what their life was like before, and then obviously they got engaged, they bought your product or they bought your service. What was it like going through that process? Obviously, if you're buying a product, less interesting because effectively it's a transaction. But what you're interested in is the after, because as I said before, when people come across you first time and they start thinking about, is this product or service going to help me where I'm at the minute? Is it going to help me get to where I want to get to? It's all very well for you as the business owner to go, oh, it's fantastic, my thing. It's absolutely brilliant. Yes, but you're bound to say that because you earn money from it. However, people obviously trust objective voices, and that's what it's about today. Trying to get those objective voices into your sales process, but in a way that is minimal. Because again, if you're asking people to do lots of things and jump through lots of hoops, they just won't do it. So you've got to make it as easy as possible for people to create these little videos for you. And then obviously you then need to run them through post-production in an easy way, which we have covered before in previous sessions. I would always use Descript, just to top and tail stuff, but obviously you can use whichever editing piece of software that you use. Anyway, before we get into the weeds about how do you edit and all of that kind of stuff, welcome Albert, who is in therapy. Not in therapy, that's what you do, rather, I should say. So let me get involved. What I'm going to do as well is lots of pollen around today. I've got an itchy nose. I really apologize for that. I'm trying not to scratch it. It's all live, folks, here we go. I'm going to do a quick shout out. All of these sessions will be found on the Ultimate Business System YouTube channel. There it is. Look at them. All of these gorgeous videos for you so you can catch up afterwards. So I would really suggest that you do that. And also, there's a particular one, this one here, number 38, reputation management. What we're talking about today, if any of you haven't seen Max's reputation management one, go and have a look at it, because these two things that we're talking about really are aligned. Max in that one talks about Google business profile and getting Google reviews. Testimonial videos will boost the effectiveness of Google reviews. It's all doing the same thing. It's building your reputation, building trust online. But definitely the good thing as well is that in the Ultimate Business System, it automates the process of getting reviews. Because what I found, and I don't know, let me know in the chat if this is the case for you, is that it's very easy for you to forget to, once you've delivered the service or product, in my case, it's a service. Often I forget, or previously, before I set up automations, I'd forget to email people to say, is it all right if we just, in my case, what I do, because what I do means it tends to be working with people over a longer period of time. The way I gather testimonials is I just jump on a call with them on a Zoom call or a Teams call and I record it and I just ask them some questions. So that is straight away one way you can do it very easily. So if you're more of a coach or a consultant or something where you're working with someone over a longer period of time, and actually what you deliver is maybe slightly more complicated, then what I would do is jump on a call with them and record the call and then edit the call and obviously chop you out. Or you don't need to, but that's the best way of getting testimonials done, because obviously if you're arranging a call, people will turn up for that and it doesn't need to be long. I never ask for more than say 10 minutes with someone, just because everyone's busy, and in 10 minutes you can get an awful lot of material that really will work well in terms of for your in your sales process. But equally, this stuff you can use on landing pages, in your emails, all of the quotes you can you can obviously get the transcription of the video done, and then you've got a load of amazing quotes that you can put everywhere, put in emails and all of that kind of thing. That's all good. The thing to have in the back of your head all through this is that the reason we need to be doing this and be bothered by the kerfuffle of sorting this stuff out is 92% of people read online reviews before making a purchase decision. So it's critically important that it is something that we automatically do. Video testimonials convert at a higher rate than written reviews because you can't fake a real person. Like I was saying before, it's all very well for us to be on camera as a business owner talking about how great we are. But if you have a selection of other voices that do different things, talking about their experience, that's really powerful. The average business loses 22% of potential customers when they can't find any customer feedback at all. So this is something that if you've not started, you need to be getting. It's one of the priorities is to get people experiencing your product or service. And then even if it means giving free samples away or doing founders pricing, if you're a course creator or whatever, get people to talk about the experience with you as you sharpen up. And this is within a course creators environment. Get some people through it either for free or at a very low rate, on the proviso that they give you their time at the end and they give you a really good not a really good testimonial, but a testimonial, because that feedback, testimonials generally are amazing feedback for a business owner. So I would encourage you to make sure that it's absolutely nailed on as part of your kind of follow-up procedure. Most businesses have happy customers, lots of people do, but you don't have any proof. And it's not a client problem, it's actually a system problem like we're talking about. So today we're going to be actually building the little system for you. So obviously the first thing we'll do is email someone saying, would you mind doing a quick testimonial for me, a testimonial video for me? And like I say, you want to place the testimonial request. You don't want to leave it too late after they've either bought the product or gone through your service. But it's quite critical, and possibly the way I'd approach it is to experiment a bit with the placement of this. What you want to do is leave it long enough for them to have got a bit of a result from either the product or service that you're offering. But don't leave it 3 or 4 weeks, because then they've moved on, life's got in the way, and you're not as top of mind as you were. And also with that process of kind of, I worked with them 4 weeks ago and I can't, to me, the sort of the reciprocity vibes diminish if you leave it too long in it, and there's more of a barrier to them actually doing something for you. So definitely strike while the iron's hot, but not so hot that they haven't had a chance to use the product or the service and uncover the value that you've given them, because that's part of what we want to talk about in terms of the questions. What I would do if you are wanting to formulate a really good email to get people to do it is something along these lines. I'm using Claude, but obviously you can use any AI that you want. This is the prompt I'm putting in. I want to write a short message asking a recent client for a video testimonial. The client is, give me in your chat. Let me see. When you said, Peter, what services do you provide to racehorse trainers? Let's do one of these. And then tell me what the specific outcome is, Peter, or actually any of you. Talk to me about who your clients are so that I can put them in this prompt, and we'll just write some little emails for you that you can then use and take away from this session. So I need to know your a description of your client and what you did for them in terms of a specific outcome. Let me know in the chat. I will just quickly, the client is, oh, okay. My clients are racehorse trainers. Let me say, and you can see, welcome to the world of me not being able to type very well. I'm going to change this because it's all about experimentation, isn't it? What I do for them is, what I want you to do, Peter, is give me a so that to mean. Advise them about digital marketing in order to obtain more owners so that they can train more horses. I'm guessing this is what it is, and earn more money. I'm imagining. Let me know if that's not right. Oh, correct. Very good. See, not just a pretty face, not even a pretty face. Remember on digital marketing. Okay. Okay, so that's good. That is a good prompt. Now, when it comes to anything where you are doing emails or any kind of copy, the bonus, Claude knows how I speak and how I talk and how I write. Okay, because it's in the back end of Claude, so it's going to deliver me something that will sound like me. But you need to make sure, if you're using, particularly if you're using the free versions of Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, you need to make sure that you have a document. And I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll show you what I mean. So let me just get Finder up a second. This is a real, folks. This is me showing you behind the curtain of what goes on and what I get up to. Right, Finder, here we are. So you can see I've talked about this a lot, right? So what I have in my very neat filing structure here, look, AI context documents. I think everyone needs to have this, right? If you're doing stuff with AI on a repeated basis and you want to get some kind of sense of stability, of continuity when in terms of your outputs, you need to have context documents. So my particular one I'm going to talk about, so you can see there, client success stories and testimonials bank. Look, I've got my speaking one here, and I'll show you what that looks like by doing this miraculous sharing swap thing. Where are we? Speaking style. Look, and you'll see, so you can see how detailed this is. Now, this is something that is a living document, and you can see there, 47 pages. It's 14,000 words long. Okay, so this document is about my work history, so who I am, where I come from, my family stuff. It's got a lot of detail, but I use this. This is in the back of Claude, and this is in its memory, so it knows where I've come from, what I do, what I've learned along the way, who I serve, what I'm about in terms of what I'm for, what I'm against, all of this stuff. Now let me get down to so look, so what I believe, okay? This is the really important stuff when you're doing stuff with AI. You need to, and all of this basically I did by being interviewed by AI. I sat down, it took maybe an hour, and then I created a document out of it. But anytime I don't know, anytime something major happens, but every now and again I go back and just check that everything is up to date and stuff like that in terms of what I've worked on, all that kind of stuff. But it's things like trust and marketing philosophy. It goes into a lot of detail about you as a person, your speaking style. So this is what I'm talking about. Even if you don't do any of the other stuff about your history and all that, because that may not be relevant if you're an affiliate marketer. However, you do need to have a house style when it comes to your messaging, how you talk. The way I got to this was I uploaded lots of things like this, so webinars. I gave it lots of scripts that I've written. I gave it lots of transcripts from my YouTube videos, all of that stuff. And from that, it basically extracted the tone in the language. So conversational, relatable, this is my stuff, encouraging, supportive, direct and actionable, honest and transparent, blah, blah, blah. It gives you all of that detail, right? So that then lives in my, so Peter is asking, I do this for each project. Where do you download this in Claude? So I keep it. So yeah, you have to do it for each project. But what I've created, Peter, and this is going a little bit off on a tangent, but I will just do this just so that you complete the circle, if you like. Let me go back to this. You can see here, this is my project. So the way I work is I have Jeremy's business brain. And if you look in the right hand side here, look at how many documents there are. So there's things about the avatars. So who my customers, my clients, people I want to go for. I also do things where every quarter I have all my financial data from last quarter and what I'm going to do this quarter. It's called my focus charter because before I'm one of those characters, and you may be the same, I don't know, that you kind of, it's very easy to get distracted. It's just the way I am. So I have to keep myself on the straight and narrow. So I specifically, for me, and this, maybe you don't need this, but I just need to give Claude a sense of this is where we're going. These are my goals ultimately, and then break them, reverse engineer them down into quarterly things. And then so each quarter I go back, what happened, what worked well, what didn't work, what am I going to do for next quarter? Do you see what I mean? All of that's in there. Client stories, value ladder, which is my all of the products that I offer, all of the courses that I do. There's things to do. There you go. There's a speaking thing. There is the my script formats for my YouTube channel. There's all sorts of stuff in there, but that's where all of that stuff lives. And then I will, so when I'm brainstorming anything to do with business, that's what I use. Okay. Because it's what I've created. The business brain is an operator level assistant. Okay. This, like I say, in Gemini Pro, these exactly. So Bimby's saying these are under gems. Absolutely. You effectively create a gem, which would be called Bimby's business brain, and you put all of your information into that. And then you just, that's effectively the filter through which all of the things you ask AI goes through. Okay. But there you go. So that's that. Let's go back to what we were doing, which was a new chat. In fact, I've just realised I've just got rid of the thing. Let me say, ugh, I need to do that again. That's the thing. You do, if you go away and click away from it, you have to put it all in again, right? It is racehorse owners, racehorse trainers. Anyway, I hope that was a worthwhile little kind of diversion. What I do for them is what I do for them. This is all about Aaron's. This is all about testimonial videos and creating that, getting people to create those. Let me just say, so where has Peter's thing? Oh, there we go. I advise them about digital in order to obtain more owners so they can train more horses and train more horses and earn more money. Let's say that. So, yeah, the thing with AI is that it is that whole thing, and I know Roger will say this a lot. It's really true. If you don't give it enough context, you're going to get really generic nonsense out. That's why it's worth being very strategic and very on it when it comes to filing, when it comes to creating documents that you can, context documents that you gives you AI. Let's have a look at what it comes up with. So this, just so everyone knows, is the email that we are sending to people to get them to to make the video. So here's a draft. Hope training's going on the yards, but see, this is great. Automatically, it knows the context, right? I wanted to ask you a favor. Would you be up for it? Now, obviously, this is in my voice because it knows my voice, right? If you're happy to, it'd be great to mention. But then what I would say, actually, here's the thing. I am going to send them a link to a Google Vids video, which walks them through the process of how to create a video testimonial. As you can see, my typing is absolutely dreadful. That's why Roger does his stuff when he just dictates things because it's a lot easier. But you know what? I'm old school. Testimonial, good. It needs to be really straightforward It needs to lower or remove as much friction as possible, as much friction as possible, so as many people as possible create. Now, one of the things you could do, obviously, with this whole situation, and again, it depends on your business, you could give people, yes, Peter just said, trainers are incredibly busy people. They need the easiest method possible to reduce friction. Exactly. But that's what, so where I'm getting to, Peter, with this is in the email, there'll be a link where they can click and watch a video, and then it'll say, all you need to do is answer these questions, boom, and then send it to me. So it's like I would say it in the written form and also on video as well. Because the thing you need to bear in mind is some people are visual learners, other people don't mind reading text, but people will have a preference. So you need to make sure you're covering all the bases. Does that make sense? Is this dependent on having a Google account for the recipient? No, not at all. It could be this is just a way of having, you could do it in Loom, you could do it on YouTube, you can have a link in that you put in that email that sends them to a video. So it could be a YouTube video that you make and you just put it as an unlisted video on your channel and then you share that link. It could be a Google Vids link, it could be a Loom link, anything. And all the video is doing, we'll do it later, is telling them what questions to answer, and make sure you put your phone in landscape mode, make sure you face the light, and then you just speak. And then you send it here using WeTransfer is what we're going to use. Okay, let's just put that in and see where we get. And again, anytime, if you guys, some of you guys have been on some of my things before, you can see it's an iterative process. It's a conversation with the AI, okay? Because it's not about just going, oh, that's fine, I'll use that. It's getting somewhere where we're truly happy with, yeah, see now it's walkthrough video. Now I want you to, so that's not done what I wanted it to. Not amazing. I want the email to include 3 questions for them to answer, so we get a real sense of the transformation, because ultimately that is what we're selling, folks. We are selling transformations. Okay, they used to be this thing, or they used to have this issue. Now, through our product or service, they don't have. They're in a better place. Transformation they have been through, thanks to our services. I want the email to include, so it's a equally really simple and concise tech setup, but very brief. I don't want the email to be too long. It needs to be I would say, let's say 1 to 2 minute read maximum. This is the thing that you need to think about all the time is you're the person you're asking to do this stuff. Always think about them. They're busy, like Peter said, and he's absolutely right. You're the more you ask people to do. So if I sent an email that's like a 5 minute read, they just won't read it. It's got to be very brief, concise, actionable. Do this, do that, do the other. Bang, done. Thank you. What I was going to say actually previously is you can always incentivize people to do testimonial videos. Okay. Now that could be, I'll give you a 10% off voucher or whatever it is, or if you're a coach or whatever, I'll give you a session, a 30-minute session or whatever. So here we go. This is a revised. Hi, training's going well. I want to ask you a favor. Would you be up for recording a quick video testimonial about working together? If you're happy to, it'd help to touch on 3 things in your own words. What was the situation before we started working together? I think again, these need a little more explanation, but we'll do that in a second. What's changed since, particularly around attracting new owners? What would you recommend this to other trainers and why? So I'm going to say we need more straightforward context from around the questions. Give example. Give an example. Make it very clear what we are wanting ideally. So not what was the situation before. That's way too general. It needs to be what were what were you struggling with that made you look for services like ours? Then also, this again is something that you ultimately, it's all about these testimonials need to be stories. Okay, so you need to be trying to ask them questions that will encourage them to paint really vivid pictures, because those are the things that stick in people's minds when they watch the video back later. Okay, so it needs to be when how did that make them feel? How did that make them feel? Get into the emotions of the before state. The psychographics. Any of you lot heard about those psychographics? Oh, that's psychology. Psychographics. We want, if you talk on an emotional level, and people respond to emotions because they buy with emotions and then they justify with logic. So what you're trying to do is get to a place where people are talking about how it made them feel to be in that position before. So let's put that in and see if we get a better set of questions out. And then what we'll do very quickly is, I've shown you how to use Google Vids before. I might scoot over that because I'm conscious of time. And then we'll get to the how you do the automation in the Ultimate Business System. Okay, so you're happy to hear three things to cover in your own words. What were you struggling that made you look for help, and how did that feel at the time? I had a great yard, but I couldn't fill it with owners, which was stressful. Great. What's changed since we started working together for you? And that's good. Would you recommend this to other trainers, and why? Again, I would probably spend a bit more time honing that third one, because what you don't want, and this is something because I've worked for 30 years in TV, I've interviewed an awful lot of people. You want open-ended questions. So something saying, would you recommend this to other trainers? That is a yes and no question. You don't want one. You want, because what you don't want is someone on video just going yes, because that means nothing to anyone. So you need to make sure that the questions you're asking are open-ended, and it prompts them to go into one or two or three or four or 10 sentences and and actually paint a picture that's wider than just one answer, or one word answer. And then for the tech side, blah, 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 that's all good. Fantastic. And then what I would do is then make sure that in that email, there's a link to the video, the intro video that you're going to shove them to, which will walk them through the process. So let us go and do that video now. So what I'm going to say is create a script for a video, for a guide video. Okay, because again, you want people to feel like every single aspect of this process, if they've not filmed a video before. And again, assume people, what about suggesting that they comment? Peter's just said, what about suggesting they comment on an actual success? Yes, exactly. You do want that. Something we did which resulted in a success that happened. I can suggest where they were struggling and point to something that we did which was successful. Absolutely. Ultimately, you want a really compelling and vivid sense of the struggle they were having before, and then you want an absolute result that you've delivered. So in your case, Peter, it will be, we worked with Peter, and actually, as a result of working with him for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's been, we've had a 20% increase in the amount of owners that we're reaching for our training services, which has made a massive, and also in that case, then what you want is to try and encourage them to speak in its specificities if they're happy to. This actually enabled me to land a training client that was worth £60,000 a year or whatever it is. But what you want is the more specific they are with outcomes, with actual figures and what it's actually done for their business in real, actual, tangible ways. That's where you want to. That's what you want to hear about. You want to, if you just said, oh, it's just done, it's been amazing, for so vague, it's no good, really. So yeah, absolutely. And again, we don't have the time, unfortunately, to actually spend the time I would spend in real life doing this and making sure the questions are right, because again, with all of this and with video generally, it's all in the preparation. It's making sure you're asking the right questions so that you get the answers that are going to work for you when you then cut this down into a little testimonial video that you pop onto your website. I've actually got a little script here, which I'll just get it to have a look at. Here's a rough guide. And then what I'll do is I'll pop into Google Vids and do it so you can see the process that you go through. So it's thinking, let me get Google Vids up as well. Obviously, you can also use Loom, so don't just think it's only Google Vids that you use. You can use however you record videos, it will be fine. Okay, that's again, I would work more on that script, I think. But for the sake of today, it's all good. So then I'll go and I've got my script for me that I'm happy with. So this, folks, is obviously the process is we've sent them an email, and in the email there'll be a link to this video which I'm going to record now. Okay, so hopefully this doesn't make it all go a bit mad because I'm recording whilst I'm doing your webinar. But anyway, let me just record. So we've done that. We go into press record. Lovely jubbly one. Good. Hey, it's Jeremy. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this. It really means a lot. I'm going to start again. This is what it's like. So don't worry. Tape is cheap. All right. Hey, it's Jeremy. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this. It genuinely means an absolute ton. This is going to take you 90 seconds, hopefully a little bit less. And here is exactly what to do. So put your phone in portrait mode, prop it up somewhere, or just hold it at arm's length. Find a window and face it. Don't, whatever you do, have the window behind you because it makes you then a silhouette. Okay, so that is it for setup. That's done. Now, in terms of what you're going to talk about, what I'd love you to do is talk about 3 different stages. First stage, what were things like before we started working together? And then second thing is what actually has changed since we've worked together? And then what would you say to someone who's thinking about doing this but hasn't quite yet? Don't script it. You can do some bullet points if you want. It's just about a real unvarnished, raw opinion of what you found the journey to be like. It's all about making it real, not what I say. So don't worry about ers and ums and pauses. That's what makes it real, not what ruins it. So one take is genuinely fine. And when you're done on your phone, just go to wetransfer.com and then attach the video that will have appeared in your gallery on your phone and then pop it to email address. Obviously you put an email address in there, then you just hit send, and then you'll see a transfer little wheel come up, and that is it, transferring the video from your phone to me. And then once the video is uploaded, I'll then get a link which I can click on and then download, and that is fantastic. So that's the full process. 60 to 90 seconds of talking, one very easy upload, and honestly it will make the world of difference to me and the business, and I really thank you so much for helping me out. I would do it a lot better than that, but you get the thing. So there we are, unedited, raw. It's just under 2.5 minutes long. Then what I do is I do insert. It'll think about it. What I would actually do, obviously, because as you can see, there were lots of fluffs that I made in that, so I'd need to go into Descript and sort that all out. Or if you want to just do multiple goes, maybe it might be easier for me to have redone it until I get it all right. It doesn't need to be perfect, but probably if I would have probably taken a couple more goes to get it 100% there. And then what you then do is you go share like this. I'll call it test for the sake of now. Save that. So that's called test. Then basically I share it. Come on, Google. I can, oh, so this is the thing. If you wanted to edit it, you'll download it, you'll go to that little arrow there, download it as an MP4, and then that's the video file. And then you can then put that into your editing software. Is it going to play ball? No, it's not. Anyway, I don't quite understand what's gone wrong. It might be because it's thinking about it, because it's once you see your face there, that's when it's uploaded it. So for whatever reason, don't have the time to wait and wonder what's gone on. But you press the share thing, it'll give you a link that you can then put into that email that we created. So people will go, oh, lovely email. Actually, there's a video. Actually, Peter, yeah, Peter's making a very good point. He's saying probably do all this on a telephone call because I have a few very high value clients. Absolutely. There you go. This isn't there for some reason. Always, isn't it, live? There's things going on, tech folks. But yeah, it might be easier to jump on a Teams call or jump on a Zoom call and record it. Okay. And then as part of that process, when you're on the call, you can say, listen, I'm going to ask you these questions and I'd love you to answer them. The best thing to do with that sort of thing is to send an email before and go, just have a think about these questions. And again, try to keep things really concise, 3 to 5 questions maximum. They don't want to feel, it doesn't want to feel like it's a massive interview because people just won't do it then. Okay. We've got our video, so that's fantastic. So then what we need to do is set up a workflow. So let me show you where that is. So we're in automations. Okay. And then we go to, I've set this up, obviously. So we're going to go to this workflow thing. So how it all works, and I hope this isn't too, I know we're going quick, but we've got quite a lot of stuff to get through. So what we want to do is set things up so that when I want to ask for a testimonial from someone, I manually add a tag to them. Okay. So previous to this session, I went into, and I'll show you where I did it. I went into settings and tags and I created some tags. Okay. So I've done that now before so that when you get to automation, when you get to the demos, the test thing, the thing that's going to kick the whole workflow off is me adding a particular tag to that contact. Okay. Contact is my customer in this circumstance. So when you set this up, you set up a trigger. So you click on add new trigger and then let's do that. Oh no, it's not going to play ball. It doesn't matter. You basically tell it to you put in contact tag and then you just call it a name, contact tag, and then contact tag rather. And then you say, I want this to kick off when this particular tag is added. So you make sure that the filter is tag added, and then you go into the bottom block here, and you can see all of these are my tags here that I've ever created. So then you go and find that particular tag, which in this case is request testimonial. So what will happen is when I want this automation to kick off, I'll go to my contact and I will add the tag to them, request testimonial, and then this automation will kick off. So then you have your testimonial request email, which goes in there. I haven't done that yet, but that will be the one that we created up here so that will be not that one, this one here. So cut and paste that. Obviously, as well, you need to have a really compelling subject line. Now, this is a little lumpy when it comes to formatting, so just make sure that you go through, even if you've cut and pasted it and it looks like it's okay, you need to just double check because sometimes it doesn't work or it doesn't give you the formatting in the way that you want. So anyway, you go through that, format that. Okay, lovely, jubbly. And then what I always do is send myself, in terms of testing what the email looks like that they're going to get before you commit to anything, is send yourself a test email. So you literally put your email address in there and then you send yourself a test. obviously have a look at it when it arrives, and then you need to go, oh, actually, the formatting for whatever reason, the carrier return didn't work here, so I need to go back, and that's what tends to happen. Is if you just cut and paste stuff, it doesn't always log it in this pane here. Make sure that all your settings are right as well. So I'm going to put it in Arial. I'm going to make sure that it is 14 point, okay, for whatever. So just go in and spend a bit of time. So all you do in terms of the video instruction thing, you then go, I've put together, there you go. I've put together a 90-second video, and then you just put the link in here. I cut and paste link here. So that link is, so you literally go to Google Vids or Loom or wherever you've made your video, and you get the link, and then you literally cut and paste it in that section here. Okay. And then obviously you save the action. In fact, why not just do that? And then whenever you've made a change to an automation, you get that little helpful red thing there. Okay. So at that point, you save it, because obviously if you then go out of to find something else, you then lose that change. Okay. So then what you do, because the automation is you send them an email asking them, they've got the little instruction video, then you need to wait. Okay. So what you want to do is set up, you obviously in the thing, you click on the little plus thing, and then you say, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to set up a wait thing, a wait action. And then you get this pane here. And what you do is you can, as you can see, look, when you say you wait, you go, what, set period of time, specific date, blah, blah, blah. No, I want to wait until the contact replies. And then you need to tell it what it's replying to, what they're replying to. So they're replying to this email, which is in there, and then it's got a tick there. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so you go, they're replying to that. Okay, how long do I wait until we give up? And so for me, for this, it's obviously completely up to you, but I've said wait 5 days. Okay, save action. Okay, I'm going to cancel because I've saved it before. Because you've toggled 5 days, after that, you then get it to send another reminder email. Okay, which is exactly the same process as we've been through before. You put your email in there, and this is so effectively you'll need to create 2 emails, the main one, and then a little kind of nudge email that goes, if they haven't replied to you within 5 days, you then want it to send them another little reminder. And this needs to be, again, you want it to be fairly, you don't want to be badgering too much. All right. So just be careful about the tone of it. So basically they either reply, in which case this automation finishes, which is what you want, or if they haven't replied because they haven't sent you anything, they then get the reminder email. Now, I think it's up to a debate in terms of how many times you remind someone if they're not, because you don't want to be a pain in the bum in terms of constantly hounding people to give you testimonials. So I think I would do a bit of research. Probably I would ask AI, if I'm honest, what's the most effective way, timings wise? How many times should I contact people at what kind of 5 days, and then wait another week, and then wait another 2 weeks? I don't know, the jury's out, but there'll be data that we can access using AI that will point us towards the most kind of effective way of making these automations work the best they can. So I would take the lead from there. I don't know if any of WeTransfer, but it's a really good file sending service. I pay for this, but there is a free version. It's really easy to do. So you just they will go to WeTransfer.com. You literally just go add file. That's where they go into their gallery on their phone, and then they put your email in there, and they literally press transfer, and then it transfers the file to you. You then get an email once that's uploaded that you can click and download it. Okay. That was a massive gallop through the process of creating the emails and then crafting the video script, which I would spend a lot more time in real life doing, because as I say, like Peter was saying, you need to make sure that you're getting a really quality story out of those people. So that's really worth investing the time in brainstorming with the AI before you get to you doing your instruction video and all of that stuff. And as I say, don't forget that if you are working with not a huge amount of clients, one or two, then actually it's probably better just to approach them on email in the same way. And obviously you can use the same emails we have, just do it manually, jump on a Zoom call. But the critical thing is the structure of the questions you're asking them. Okay, in the actual video itself, when you're on the call or when they're doing their testimonial video, you need to make sure those questions are going to get the responses that you want, that are useful for you. And also, as I say, make sure that the results are as specific as possible. Now, some people won't want to share figures and stuff like that. If they are prepared to do that, 100% put them in, because those are the things that will move the needle for people when they've got to your landing page and they're looking through all of these testimonials. If people are being very specific about what happened for them as a result of them using your product or service, suddenly that becomes much more compelling than a very vague statement about it was lovely. So try and encourage people to be as specific as possible about what the nature of the transformation was that they experienced whenever they used your product or service. Folks, we're right at the top of the hour now. Yes, I do have some stats. Look, we're getting some stats. Let's having a little look. And we'll end this session with some awesome data. There you go. Wise Owl is a very good, they do a lot of research. So from their testimonials, 79% of people have watched a video testimonial to find out more about a company, product or service. 77% of people who watched a brand's testimonial video say it played a part in convincing them to buy the product or service. So 7 out of 10, more than. 9 out of 10 people say they trust what a customer says about a business more than what the business says about itself, which is, we are fighting against lots of cynicism, a massive kind of issue with trust. So we need to be, whatever we can do to build trust in ourselves and our business and what we do, we need to be doing it. When it said why people trust video testimonials, so 47% because it helps them visualize how a product actually works. 42% because seeing an actual person helps them understand their story. Because what happens, which is a psychological thing, is when you see a testimonial story, you visualize yourself in that story as a viewer. That's why they're so powerful. And you can empathize and understand, oh wow, it's worked for them, this could work for me too. So yeah, there are the stats. Wise Owl is worth checking out. They do lots of annual research things. Folks, I really hope that was of use to you. Absolutely critical part of any sales process, getting those testimonials. So however you do it, whether it's the jumping on a Zoom call way, or yeah, Bimby, as I say, it pains me when I'm doing these demos quickly because I would want to spend a lot more time on making sure those questions, making sure those emails are exactly right before sending them out. You don't want to waste people's time, and you want to make sure that every time you're putting something out there and you're asking someone to do it, you're going to benefit as much as possible from their time that they spend with you, either on a call or recording a video for you. Folks, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time. Go away and make sure that you have got some kind of workflow in place for gathering testimonials, because it is a really powerful part of getting people to work with you. Thanks ever so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.